Drinking buddies. I got my good buddy Ryan here. We are going to do a fun little blind here. We're going to answer the question, would you drink my best whiskey if I made you also drink my 3 worst whiskeys?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I hear you got some doozies here for me.
I do. I think you'll be surprised.
All right, let's go.
I'm your drinking buddy.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So I definitely went through a lot of thought process to pick these, and turns out I don't have a lot of the really terrible whiskeys I've bought. I've kind of gotten rid of them as they go. So
Yeah.
I think I only really gave you one stinker. And to be honest, before we do any of this, I should probably preface by saying these distilleries that are here, if we're not trying to crap on anybody's craft, just didn't work for our palates. The distilleries that I put up here for him to try, some of the ones I didn't like, I like other things from those brands. These particular bottles didn't hit.
Taste is a very subjective thing as well. So what I like, you may not like, and vice versa.
Yeah. This is an interesting one here. I'm not sure what I'm smelling. It's giving me Scotch vibes. Oh, that's terrible.
Is it?
I think we should score this out.
Okay.
I think we should try to guess. Standard scoring system here is around these parts is 1 point for type, 1 point for proof, 1 point for distillery, and 1 point for is it finished?
Okay, glass one. Yeah, I'm not sure at all what I'm tasting over here on glass one myself. It's interesting.
This is a higher proof though, I think, maybe.
Yeah, a little proof on there.
I mean, I'm not tremendously high, but high for Scotch, because I feel like that's a Scotch.
Yeah, I'm type on this one. I am not sure. I'm gonna guess it's a bourbon. What we say, proof? Give that about 95. Finished, no, and distillery.
You're gonna beat me in this one.
Oh no, there's no way.
You will in points.
You
just off your first guesses, you're already doing pretty well. I'm guessing Ardbeg for the distillery, just purely because I don't know very many smoky Scotch brands, and this seems to be a smoky Scotch to me.
Interesting, very interesting. You're getting
so somewhere in here we have your favorite whiskey that you own, or your best whiskey that you own. Which would you say?
I would say it's not really either. I just didn't want to bring you something that was straight up, like a stag or something like that. So it's a whiskey with more sentimental value to me. That being said, the one that I have, it's not the best batch I've ever had of it, so it's kind of a subpar batch, but I figured just bring you something that was a little more interesting. So.
Okay, I'm a fan of interesting,
and
for
it's
sure.
going to get more interesting for me.
Okay.
On to number 2.
Oh my lord, this smells like fish.
That's actually almost kind of what I get off of it too. That one might be the worst nose on any whiskey that I own by far, and just the nose. I mean,
it smells like fish.
You said bad whiskeys.
Yes, this is true.
I'm
this
here
is
to
true.
deliver on that. I am not getting much off the nose on this one, but little. I'd say a corn whiskey of some sort. Oh, it's nice and sweet on the palate. How about the palate on that one? Nice and
fish food, or the papers that you wrap sushi in. What's that called?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Nori.
Nori. Yeah, I can see that. A little, the fish, a little brininess to it. I get out of that one. It's a little briny, and that one is definitely hasn't been touched very much.
There's also some bourbon-y things going on here.
Right.
Like I see like cornbread, like young grains, like Maybe that's a malty thing. I don't know. I think that could be a bourbon though. I think I'm gonna just go ahead and say it's a finished bourbon, but
Interesting. I think I'm also going to go bourbon, about 100 proof on number 2, and distillery. Man, I'm not getting anything that's screaming any particular distillery at me, but I never said I was all that good at this game. So
this is something craft, I think.
Okay, Anna, that's an interesting nose. Very almost paint thinner, and I'm not getting much more than that. Yeah, that's chemically, very chemically in the nose.
This actually smells nice. Whatever this is, smells nice. There's a little bit of a youthy thing here, but I would call this more like just like wet oak, and I kind of dig on this. This is a decent nose here.
Interesting.
I'm wondering if this is supposed to be one of the ones that I'm supposed to think is terrible, because I kind of don't mind that. I think that's pretty good.
It's the most normal thing that I put in there. So, yeah, it's the most regular thing, that closest to what you drink most of the time on your palate, we'll say.
Yeah, I definitely was leaning bourbon. So bourbon, I'm going to say 110. Maybe it's not that hot, actually.
I have absolutely no clue what I'm drinking on glass 3 here. It's interesting.
That is a tricky one. I will freely say that it's tricky.
It's bizarre.
It should.
A lot of traditional notes on the palate there.
I'll give you a really unhelpful hint. It's a similar product in, type and to another like sought after bottle. So I saw it on the shelf and I go, oh, poor man's this. And it's nothing like that at all.
Yeah, I have learned that I am not terribly good at the blind game. Yeah. One thing is I don't even know if I think that one's personally the worst one, but
it smells so bad.
It smells pretty awful. Now that one is interesting to me because it was one I got a sample bottle of, and I really liked it. And then when I bought the whole bottle, it tasted completely different. And I don't know if it's just a bad batch, and maybe some of these are just bad batches of things that I've got, because it does happen.
There is like batch variants too, where they're trying to blend it to an exact flavor profile, but 3 years later, how much has that changed? That type of thing. Like even something like Wild Turkey 101.
Right.
Does it taste the same as it did 3 years ago? Ideally, that's what they're shooting for. But
consistency in the bigger brands like that. But yeah, the smaller stuff is not going to be nearly as consistent as the major distilleries.
This is butterscotch and feet.
Yeah, I'm getting some smoke definitely off glass 4 here, right off the bat. It's almost like a Band-Aid kind of smoke too. It's not a real pleasant smoke. So
I will say I don't like that, but it's nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be off the nose. The palate is fine. I don't hate the palate. I don't like the palate, but I don't hate it. It's not my jam. It's not something I would go buy. But there's a really, really interesting, when I say like cinnamon or like Red Hot's the candy.
Right.
I don't know if I've ever, outside of Fireball, experienced Red Hots as purely on a whiskey as I do on this one.
Because I get absolutely
Red Hot
that out of it, but I think because I know what it is, it's just kind of in my head, the palate a little bit. You kind of have a preconceived notion sometimes of how something tastes, and you think you've ever had any of those before?
3 is tasting a little bit familiar, but I don't know for sure. It's giving me familiar vibes. I'm sure you're going to mention what it is, and I'm going to be like, oh yeah, but I don't know. I have no idea what this is, to be honest. There's no flavored whiskeys in this, right?
No flavors, okay. No, but they're not necessarily bourbons or scotch, or they kind of fall outside of those regular categories. Well, at least that one and number 2 does. I think I'm just going to say Ardbeg like you did. That being said, I've never had Ardbeg, but The couple of smoked scotches that I have, I don't think it's either one of those, so I just got to go outside of that. And I can't remember the name of the one I'm thinking. But yeah, very well might not be a scotch. I suppose this could be something else, but really smoke is kind of overpowering everything for me. There is a kind of underlying gentle sweetness there, but it's really overshadowed by the smokiness of it.
Yeah, this last one here, I know it's wrong, but it's kind of giving me vibes of the standard Alberta. So like the Alberta, the Canadian, like the 80 proof, like Alberta Premium, not the cask strength, which is delicious. But that's that's my guess for this. I don't know what it is, but that's the best I can come up with. I went 85 though, so just in case it's 90. Man, the nose on here, I keep going back to it because it's kind of just...
It's interesting. That and number 2 have very unique noses, and I'd be able to pick those out right away just based on the noses and me knowing my own bottles, but I would be super confused if anybody else poured them for me.
Well, I think we'll go through these again. I'll either fast forward through this part or cut it out completely like I normally do.
Right.
And we'll be right back. Drinking buddies, I am pretty confident that I did terribly on this. This one is really throwing me for a loop because on the nose I think bourbon, and then I taste it and I think scotch, so I don't even know what this is. It isn't as bad as I thought on the first one, and this one I don't mind at all, which I think is one of the bad ones, just judging by your reaction to it. And I don't mind this. I don't think it's good, but I do. I would drink this again. I don't hate this.
Really?
Meanwhile, these two I never want to see again.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, number 1 just kind of seems like regular middle-of-the-road stuff. Number 2, I really like. It has a great finish, real nice. Just flavors are wonderful in it. 3 is the one that's really confusing me because I think every time I take a sip of it, it tastes like something different. So that's kind of confusing. And this one I still think of some sort of smoky scotch because that's just all I can think of with it. That's all it reminds me of that I've had.
What's your favorite of the bunch?
I'd say number 2.
2?
I love number 2. Right. It's not bad at all. It has a nice, long, warm finish to it, nice sweetness that I really like.
Good. So you're not a, you definitely picked the right one there is what I'm trying to say. So if you hadn't picked that one, you would have been canceled. You'd been canceled in the whiskey world when this video came out. They would have been calling for your head.
No, it's definitely.
Meanwhile, I think I didn't pick the best one because I think my favorite is 3. And
well, again, this is. I did pour you something that I know isn't necessarily in your wheelhouse and in your flavor profile of the thing that you enjoy. So, Bird Balls, definitely.
All right. Well, let's see. What was your least favorite?
I'll probably say number 4.
Interesting.
Because
I was kind of hoping you would like that one, so that
bad.
I was kind of hoping you'd like that one, so you could take it home with you. But it's so low in the bottle because I actually made a bunch of projects with it because I didn't like it.
And that being said, I don't think it's that bad, but yeah, I'm glad that I at least got the. I said it was a scotch, so I at least got the maltiness and the smokiness off.
To the great people at ASW, this is just not for me. You guys do good stuff. Your Fiddler line is great. But
I'm just not wild about smoked whiskeys in general, so that's kind
and
of
this
my
is
default.
like
where
really smoky and really
it's there. It's definitely right up front with the smoke.
My least favorite was definitely 2.
Okay, that's what I expected, and that was what I thought would be the worst.
Yeah,
okay, so
I'm guessing that it's Japanese. I'm guessing that it's about 90 proof. I think it's finished, and my guess was Suntory.
No, okay, so now this is the part. I'm not even sure how to pronounce this. This is a French single malt.
French single malt. All right, it's 80 proof.
The fish that you're getting, I've heard people describe this as having a wet escargot snail kind of a thing going on. I don't know if it's just because it's French that they say that, but I haven't been able to get that out of my head when I taste it, and that's just kind of what I taste. But it is a malt whiskey. It's a blend of 3 different malt whiskeys, apparently, all from France. So I've never really heard of any French whiskey, and I just loved the bottle, so I thought I'd give it a try one day, and I can't tell you that I've really cared for it very much.
It does not appear to be finished, so I got 0 points on that guy.
Wow.
So
yeah, actually, I didn't go back to this one. I said Scotch 85 proof is what I put it at, which
90. You're gonna get it.
No, it's 91 technically. So I'm not.
Wait, I thought you put 95.
No, it's 85.
Oh, okay.
I just have atrocious handwriting.
Okay, all right.
85. Oh, I guess 91. Yeah, no, it's
You're just out of the out of the
I'm
realm.
6 off.
So hey, at least for our worst bottle, we both got 0 there.
I thought it was a smoked.
Oh, did you
Scotch,
say
but-
finished?
No, I didn't say finished.
Okay, good. So you did get 1 point there, because it's not finished. So.
Okay.
All right.
What's next on the list? You said number 4 for you?
4. Yeah, I really didn't care for 4. My guess is that it's Canadian 85. Yes, finished. I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, we got to go to the other side of the border there. This is a Mexican corn whiskey.
I've actually had
Whiskey
this
they make-
before. I've actually had this
And
before.
as I was saying,
Now that
before-
you said this, I get all those flavors that I picked up on this when I had it the first time.
Did you? Did it taste about like that the first time you had it? Because this is the one that I'm telling you I had a sample of, and I really liked the sample I had of it, one of the little bottles. And
Yeah.
I ended up buying the whole bottle, and it just tastes completely different than the one that I had. So maybe it's just a off batch. I'm probably not going to buy another bottle of it to find out.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I definitely don't remember it being this off-putting on flavors, but a lot of the I definitely am remembering how much like cake frosting I got off it when I tried it the first
Really?
time, and now I'm totally remembering like it just was like the cake frosting.
Cake frosting, yeah, and that is interesting how that goes. So for my next one down, 1 and 3, neither one of them was bad, so it's kind of a toss-up.
Oh, really? You didn't hate 3? I really don't like 3.
I didn't hate it. I'm more confused by it at this point in time, and I'm not sure what it is, so that's why I find it to be somewhat interesting. I said on this one a malt whiskey, and then I went back and forth. I just went 90 proof, finished something.
You got some points here because it's 92 proof.
Okay.
It's a rye finished in port barrels.
Okay.
I bought this because I thought it might be a cheap like midwinter night's dram type vibe.
Right.
And I actually think their bourbon is pretty decent. Their bourbon is finished, and it's a wheated bourbon sourced from Kentucky.
Okay.
So possibly 1792 sweet wheat. Anyway, their bourbon is, and it's finished in Cabernet. Or sorry, Chardonnay, white wine.
Okay.
And I like that one. So I bought this one, and I really just don't like it.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me, and it does kind of move around my palate. Every sip I had, I got something completely different and wasn't sure. So, what was proof on this one?
92.
92, I guess 90 on that one.
You got
So-
3 points there. That's pretty good.
Okay. Ooh, 1 on that one. Yeah, I don't even know what the proof is on that one off the top of my head.
I only got
86.
1 point on that one.
Yeah. Well, again, you're not going to get
Yeah,
type when I give you Mexican corn whiskey, so that's
Yeah.
definitely a curveball that I threw you.
All right. And then my next one would probably be, I guess, the one that I think is a Scotch. I think this is
Scotch. You got that right, and that's actually supposed to be my good bottle.
Okay. I think my guess was Ardbeg. I said 95 proof. Yes. Finished. It's probably not finished, but
It is finished.
all right.
This is Aralur Bunda. I'm really not sure how to say that. Some Gaelic word.
Okay.
This is one of the gateway whiskeys for me that I really like.
Wow, it's 121.6
proof.
proof.
And that varies, obviously, batch to batch. But this was one that just got me really into starting to like whiskey again. That being said, this is a pretty subpar batch that I've had of it. I've had some amazing batches of this that I just burned through and love. And usually I get a lot more like dark red fruits off of it. And I'm just getting a hint of it on this one. So this is a subpar batch.
Like I said, I don't dislike it, and I'm not a Scotch guy, so I went way low on proof too. So your second favorite bottle is one that I don't necessarily think is a bad bottle. For me, it just drinks really flat. So this is Yellow Rose of Texas, 92 proof Outlaw bourbon. It's 100% corn, and it's pot stilled in Texas. It is a bourbon. It's not finished.
Yes, not finished bourbon, 95 proof, and I had absolutely no distillery guess because, yeah, there was really nothing about it that stood out to me. None of the normal flavors I get from any major distilleries. So it's not too bad.
You did good there. You got 3 points. That's pretty awesome.
3 points on that one, but yeah, I can't say there's anything about that
When I did
Really stood out to me.
I actually was scared when I was deciding to put this in here. I'm like, did I recommend buying this bottle? Because I was drinking it and I'm like, I really just think this is so flat. So I went back and watched my initial review and I go, don't buy this, buy Mellow Corn instead. Because it's like half the price. Mellow Corn's like half the price.
I could see it's very similar.
Yeah, it's just like flat corn notes. That's all I get off of that thing. It's like
nothing really groundbreaking or interesting.
Yeah, it's not a bad whiskey. No offense to the people who made it. Like I said, it's not a bad whiskey. It's just so flat for me. It just doesn't hit for me.
Yeah, it is Whistle Pig Piggyback 6-year 100 proof bourbon. Never had anything by Whistle Pig before. I've heard really good things about all their ryes and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, one of the many things on my list.
I did okay on that one.
Trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you nailed the proof on that one, right? You said
yeah.
100?
Yeah, and I thought it was a bourbon not finished. I don't think it's bad. I just think it's overpriced. Because it's like a $60 bottle.
And I just, to me, I don't get really anything off of it. I feel about like that as you feel about the Texas Yellow Rose here, because the nose is just kind of flat and I don't really get a lot off of the flavor. But I will say that has definitely changed since it's opened up a little bit, because when this was just about, a little past the neck pour is when I really decided I didn't like it. And I keep going back to it, trying, expecting it to change a little bit, and it has opened up a little bit. And, all right, and this was definitely my favorite. So I wasn't really 100% sure. I said it was a bourbon. I went back and forth on finish. I ended up saying yes, but now I'm kind of thinking it's not. But I wrote yes, so we'll go with that. And I said 100 proof, but I'm kind of thinking maybe it's a little more than that. But
do you got a bottle guess?
I do not have any sort of a bottle guess on that.
Well, I did say I'd give you my best whiskey. So
best whiskey.
Behind you there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did enjoy it. So yeah, I'm way off on proof. It does not drink that hot.
It really doesn't. It's one of the nice things about this
amazing.
particular whiskey is it just doesn't drink anywhere
it does
close
not
to that.
drink anywhere.
It delivers a lot of flavor without
being
hot.
It's very good, and I liked it. I guess just Heaven Hill for distillery, just because I didn't really know what else to put in there. But that's interesting, because I was just talking about Weeders a little while ago and how I haven't had too many that really were that good, but got to pay to play on that one.
Yeah, it's one of the definitely when it comes to Weeders, you're talking. You got to go for like special edition Maker's Mark stuff,
right?
Rare Buffalo Trace stuff to get really good ones.
Right.
I mean, unfortunately, that's just where it is. I'm not a big Heaven Hill Weeder vibe guy. So like your Larcenys, your old Fitzgeralds. They got to be pretty old for me to be into the old Fitzgeralds. The 17 and the 19 I really liked, but I have this 11 behind me, and I think it's just so meh for the cost, hype, and everything.
Right.
It was between giving you this and between giving you the Handy, because I think I could go either day. I could decide which one I like more.
Toss up most of the time.
Yeah. I actually think when you consider the fact that I think that Thomas Handy is easily my favorite rye, whereas my favorite bourbon could change.
Right.
That gives a little nod for Handy for me, because I just think it's the best rye on earth. Whereas William Weller, hey, if I did this in a blind against a GTS or against a Four Roses LE, or
it's gonna hold its own.
It's going to hold its own, but I might pick one of those.
Right.
So.
Oh, it's delicious, and
you killed me too.
It took me on a ride. Well, to be fair, would you have guessed French single malt?
No.
Mexican corn whiskey?
No.
Yeah, so.
So let's see. You got 8?
I got bourbon. I only got 1 point on that one. So yeah.
So you got 8, and I got 6.
Well,
dude, you got an F plus.
Pretty impressive. I mean,
yeah, you did impressive showing. Impressive showing.
Oh, I mean, impressive considering the bizarre stuff that I gave you.
Well, drinking buddies, this was really fun. Thank you, Ryan, so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Make sure to hit the like before you leave, and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. We're about to hit 10,000 subscribers, and you would make my day if you hit that subscribe button. Cheers.